This lesson really gets to the heart of what we inherently possess. It's lesson 104 from the course. I seek but what belongs to me in truth. Today's idea continues with the thought that joy and peace are not but idle dreams. They are your right because of what you are. They come to you from God, who cannot fail to give you what he wills. Yet must there be a place made ready to receive his gifts. They are not welcomed gladly by a mind which has instead received the gifts it made where his belong as substitutes for them.
Today we would remove all meaningless and self-made gifts which we have placed upon the holy altar where God's gifts belong.
These are the gifts which are our own in truth.
These are the gifts which we inherited before time was, and which will still be ours when time has passed into eternity.
These are the gifts which are within us now, for they are timeless.
And we need not wait to have them.
They belong to us today.
Therefore we will to have them now. And know in choosing them in place of what we made, we but unite our will with what God wills and recognize the same as being one.
Our longer practice periods today, the hourly 5 minutes given truth for your salvation, should begin with this. I seek, but what belongs to me in truth, and joy and peace are my inheritance.
Then lay aside the conflicts of the world, which offer other gifts and other goals made of illusions, witnessed to by them, and sought for only in a world of dreams.
All this we lay aside, and seek instead that which is truly ours, as we request to recognize what God has given us.
We clear a holy place within our minds before his altar, where his gifts of peace and joy are welcome, and to which we come to find what has been given us by him.
We come in confidence today, aware that what belongs to us in truth is what he gives.
And we would wish for nothing else belongs to us in truth.
So do we clear the way for him today by simply recognizing that his will is done already, and that joy and peace belong to us as his eternal gifts?
We will not let ourselves lose sight of them between the times in which we seek for them where he has laid them.
This reminder will we bring to mind as often as we can. I seek but what belongs to me in truth. God's gifts of joy and peace are all I want. What are your initial thoughts about this lesson? This idea that joy and peace are our true inheritance?
Well, it really flips the script. You know, the course isn't saying that these are things that you need to try so hard for or acquire, but that they're actually what's naturally yours already. It's like, think of it like an endowment, you know, something that's just given freely because of who you are at your very core.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It is like this inherent gift that's waiting to be uncovered. And, you know, this inheritance, this inherent joy and peace, it's not something we find outside ourselves, is it? The course really emphasizes preparing an internal space, creating that room within. What does that look like to you? What are some ways we can do that?
For me, I like to picture my mind as a sacred space. So this lesson is like an invitation to clear out all the clutter, you know, all those worries and anxieties, all that mental noise that just keeps telling you something is missing. It's like decluttering, but for your mind, to make room for what's already there.
I love that analogy of decluttering the mind. It's so important to create that space for peace and joy to emerge. And speaking of things that clutter our minds, the course talks about those worldly conflicts and, you know, those desires that come from our ego, and it calls them self-made gifts. So it's almost like they're distractions from our true inheritance. Why do you think it frames them this way?
Well, if you really think about those gifts for a minute, do they really offer you lasting satisfaction? You know, the course is pointing out that these so-called gifts are actually rooted in illusion. They're like temporary fixes. But ultimately, they don't truly fulfill that deep yearning we all have, that yearning for genuine peace and joy. It's almost like they're substitutes, masks that cover up what you already possess.
That's such a powerful insight, recognizing those temporary fixes for what they are. And lesson 104 goes on to talk about this idea of aligning your will with God's will. How do you see that? How might that resonate with someone in their daily life?
I like to think of it this way. Instead of seeing God's will as some external decree or like a rule you have to follow, maybe consider that deepest desire that lives within you, that desire for inherent joy and peace. If you look at it that way, then aligning with it becomes about choosing those inner states, recognizing that they're the most authentic expression of who you are. It's about choosing them rather than just constantly chasing after those fleeting external rewards.
I love that, recognizing those inner states as the truest expression of ourselves. That really shifts the perspective. And the lesson structure is interesting too. It includes a specific hourly practice. Why do you think that consistent, repeated focus throughout the day is so important?
Well, I think that hourly reminder is like a gentle but persistent course correction. Because let's face it, life gets busy, right? It's easy to get so caught up in all those self-made gifts and lose sight of what truly matters. So this practice, those hourly reminders, they're like a way to regularly bring your attention back to what the Course is trying to tell us. It's about reinforcing that inner awareness of what is truly valuable and truly yours.
And it's important to remember, this lesson isn't telling us to detach from the world, right? It's not about escaping reality. It's more about a fundamental shift in how we see our experience within the world.
Exactly. The focus isn't on running away from your life, but on changing how you approach it, how you meet it. When you start to see that your peace and joy come from within, that they're constant, then all the external things, all the ups and downs, they lose their power to define how you feel inside. When you understand this, you realize you're not at the mercy of the world. You have a choice.
Absolutely. So how do you see these concepts, these ideas of inherent joy and inner peace playing out in our everyday interactions, even the challenging ones?
Let's say you're in a stressful situation. Your first reaction might be to get anxious, to get frustrated. But when you remember that peace that's inherent within you, it gives you space, space to respond differently. You can still address the challenge at hand, but you approach it from a more grounded place, a less reactive place. It's understanding that just because there's chaos outside, there doesn't have to be chaos inside.
I think that's so important, that distinction between external and internal chaos. And, in our world, with so much stimulation and information coming at us all the time, how do you approach this idea of clearing mental clutter? It's not always easy to find that quiet space in our minds.
You're right. It's not about trying to have a completely blank mind. That's not realistic. I think it's more about becoming aware of the thoughts that are creating the noise, the judgments we make, the comparisons, the worries about the future, the regrets about the past, and then gently choosing not to give those thoughts so much power, not to get carried away by them, maybe by focusing on the present moment or just taking a deep breath.
Choosing what we give our attention to. And speaking of things we give our attention to, the lesson talks about letting go of those self-made substitutes.
Yeah.
What are some common ones that you see people, or maybe even yourself, reaching for in the hopes of finding lasting happiness?
I think we often look to achievements, possessions, even relationships, or wanting approval from other people. We're trying to fill a void. And those things can bring temporary pleasure. I'm not denying that. But the Course is suggesting that if we're relying on those things as our main source of joy, we might be missing the point. We might be overlooking the source of joy that's already within us, that's always available. It's recognizing that fleeting satisfaction and deep, lasting peace are not the same thing.
They're not, are they? And have you ever had an experience, a specific instance, where shifting your perception, like the lesson suggests, really changed an ordinary or even a challenging moment for you?
I remember one time I was stuck in traffic, just incredibly impatient, and then I remembered this lesson. So instead of letting that frustration take over, I used that time, that stuck in traffic time, for a moment of quiet reflection, something I rarely do in my busy day-to-day life. And the traffic didn't magically disappear, but my experience of it completely changed. It went from annoyance to, a moment of unexpected stillness.
That's a perfect example of how a shift in perception can make all the difference. And going back to these ideas of divine inheritance and clearing the mind, how do you see those resonating with other things you've learned in the Course? Because it's all connected, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. This lesson builds on a lot of things, especially that core principle of illusion versus reality. The Course often reminds us that what we see in the world can be distorted. It's like our ego is creating a kind of funhouse mirror image. So this lesson is like a redirect. It's pointing us back to what's truly real, our inherent joy and peace that never changes.
Right, that reminder of our true nature. And doesn't this lesson also connect to the idea of forgiveness?
It absolutely does. When we forgive, when we let go of judgments and grievances, we're clearing out mental clutter. It's like we're making space for that inheritance to come through. And there's also the theme of unity, the idea that we all share this divine inheritance. It reminds us that we're all connected to something so much greater than our individual egos.
It's a beautiful reminder of our interconnectedness. And it seems like this lesson, with its emphasis on perception, also ties in with the Course's teachings on vision, right? How we choose to see ourselves, how we choose to see the world around us.
You're absolutely right. This lesson is reminding us that no matter what, God's gift to us is unwavering, constant peace and joy. And then there's the part about letting go of those worldly conflicts. That echoes the importance of focusing on the present moment. The present moment is the only reality where we can truly experience peace. It's a powerful message. Peace isn't something we need to find. It's a state of being we need to remember.
That's a great way to put it, remembering our inherent peace. Well, this has been a fascinating exploration of Lesson 104. Thank you so much for sharing your insights.
Thank you. It's been a truly valuable deep dive.
And as always, we invite you to share any comments, questions, or experiences related to the course that this deep dive has sparked for you. You can reach us at ACIM@theworldharmonyproject.org. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for joining us. Until next time.
Take care.